The Marvel Cinematic Universe, or MCU, is packed full of powerful heroes and villains alike that provide some great stories. But who do we have yet to see on the big screen that would change the tides? That's what we're exploring today. Greetings, Nerd Squad, and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. I'm Connor Monroe, and this is the top 10 most powerful Avengers we need in the MCU. Let's do it. And at 10, Hercules. Hercules was the son of Zeus, king of Olympian gods, and Alcmena of Thebes in ancient Greece. He was born as the result of Zeus seducing Alcmena and under the guise of being her husband. Due to his Olympian lineage, Hercules was born with the potential for extraordinary human strength, because he's the son of a god. Zeus's wife Hera grew jealous of this adultery, but Alcmena tried to appease the goddess by naming her child Heracles, or Glory of Hera. The child was first abandoned outside the city, and when Athena and Hera found it, Hera decided to feed the infant Hercules with her divine breast milk. While Hera breastfed the child, Hercules' godly strengths harmed her when he bit down harder on her breast and then she flung him away. Oh, that's so funny. He was returned to the city and accepted by his birth mother and her husband. However, Hera then sent 2 serpents to kill the child, but even at only 1 year old, he had superhuman strength and strangled both the snakes with his bare hands like a pure badass. And we love that kind of energy, and we need it in the MCU. Imagine that story on the silver screen. Oh man. And at 9, Namor. In 1915, Ernest Shackleton, sent by Winston Churchill, sought out vibranium in the Antarctic. His ship, the Endurance, was lost. Later, Leonard Mackenzie and the telepath Paul Destin as a passenger attempted to recover the vibranium, but Princess Sven was sent to investigate explosions near the surface by her father, Emperor Thakor. Mackenzie met, fell in love with, and impregnated Princess Sven with the child who then became Namor. However, Atlantean soldiers came to retrieve Fen and attack Mackenzie's crew. Leonard Mackenzie was believed dead by Fen following the attack, and she returned to Atlantis pregnant. The child was named Namor, which means avenging son, so I feel like you can see where this is going. During Namor's youth, he traveled as part of the Atlantean diplomatic mission to the Orkney Reefs, the seasonal capital of the Chasm People, where he encountered the prince of the Chasm People, Atuma, for the first time. The two initially developed a rivalry, but still, they set aside their differences and began developing a friendship for the sake of peace between their people. It's good in the long run. And at 8, She-Hulk. I know what you're gonna say, okay? Just hear me out. Jennifer Walters is a talented lawyer and the cousin of Bruce Banner, the Hulk. After being shot by a mobster and seriously injured, she was saved by a blood transfusion from Bruce, and his gamma-radiated blood mutated Jennifer into the sensational She-Hulk, kicking off her adventuring career. Jen wasn't as strong as her cousin, but she maintained her intelligence as the She-Hulk, soon learning to control her transformations and even embracing her green form. Throughout the years, Jen fought for justice in court and on the streets, developing great rivalries and friendships, and growing to become a respected leader. She worked for the district attorney and also fought crime as a member of countless teams, namely the world famous Avengers and Fantastic Four. During a recent confrontation with Thanos, though, She-Hulk took a missile to the chest and was critically injured by the Mad Titan. Needing immediate medical assistance, she managed to recover, but the stress from the fight with Thanos, added to the loss of her cousin, caused Jen to transform into her savage Grey Hulk persona. After therapy, she managed to go back to being green though. So, if She-Hulk can do it, maybe I should go to therapy too. And I know She-Hulk is already coming to the MCU thanks to her Disney Plus series, but I figured I'd include her anyway, hence why she's at number 8, because she is already coming. But she's not gonna be on the big screen yet, as far as we know, so. And it's 7, Quasar. Wendell Vaughn was born in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, but raised in Oshkosh. He had served in the US Army with distinction, eventually being promoted to lieutenant. After the Army, he applied to join the SHIELD Academy. He graduated with full honors, but his record stated that he lacked the so-called killer instinct needed to be a field agent. Assigned to routine guard duty at the Stark International Project, studying the quantum bands, he watched as the bands were field tested by William Wesley, SHIELD's top tech jockey, who panicked when the bands would not come off and then disintegrated himself. Not an hour later, androids were sent by the criminal organization AIMS, and they staged a raid. Their objective was to steal those alien energy bands. To protect them though, Vaughn put on the bands and learned the fundamentals of their operation under the most hazardous possible conditions. Still, he managed to hold back the AIM invasion, and ultimately it was his lack of killer instinct that enabled him to subdue the rampant energies that he had unleashed by putting on the bands. So, kinda wanna see this, let's be honest. That'd be pretty sick. And at 6, Nova. Richard Rider was born in Hempstead, New York, and as a teenager he was chosen at random by the alien Roman Day, last surviving Centurion of the planet Xandar's elite Nova Corps, to inherit his power and succeed him in the rank of Nova Prime. Following the destruction of his world by the intergalactic pirate Zor, having been mortally wounded in the battle that tore Xandar apart, Day succeeded in tracking Zor to Earth, but he was unable to exact vengeance himself due to the existence of his injuries, because you can't really kill someone when you're dying. Well, I mean you can, but it's harder. At death's door, Day had little choice but to transfer his power to an unsuspecting human on the planet below, gambling that whoever he found would be willing to take up his cause and prove worthy of the powers that he had given the recipient, which I gotta say, weirdest lottery ever. The sudden infusion of powers overloaded Ryder's body and he was hospitalized. While Ryder was comatose, the moribund Roman Day explained to him telepathically what had happened to him and what his mission was. Ryder's recovery was as sudden as his incapacitation had been, preceded by eye blasts that knocked a doctor out of the room. He was then discharged. Nova's higher on this list because they're actually most likely to appear in the MCU thanks to the Guardians. I mean, most likely aside from She-Hulk because she's already guaranteed, but yeah. Halfway through into number 5, Wonder Man. After being found guilty of embezzlement, Williams agreed to become a test subject for Zemo's ionic ray treatment, a process that would endow him with superhuman strength and durability. After undergoing the arduous chemical and radiation treatments, Williams emerged with the attributes he was promised. Zemo then gave him a costume, dubbed him Wonder Man, and outlined his plan to use him to defeat his foes, the Avengers. To ensure Wonder Man's cooperation though, Zemo told him that a side effect of the treatment that gave him superhuman powers was that it had altered his metabolism so that he would die within the week, unless he was given regular treatments of an unspecified antidote, which Zemo would provide. Not wishing to die, Wonder Man agreed to Zemo's plan, and in a staged battle with the Masters of Evil, he won the confidence of the Avengers. When he explained to them that he was dying, the Avengers accepted Wonder Man into their ranks and unsuccessfully tried every means of science known to them to cure him. Soon enough, Wonder Man led the Avengers into an ambush by the Masters of Evil, but in the course of the battle, Wonder Man had an attack of conscience and decided that he didn't want to betray the Avengers' kindness to him, even if it cost him his life. In at 4, Red Hulk. General Thaddeus E. Thunderbolt Ross, the man who would become the most frequent nemesis of the superhuman monster known as the Incredible Hulk, is also the Red Hulk, which is pretty weird. Born to the Rosses, a New Hampshire family with a proud tradition of military service, during World War II, Ross rose rapidly among the ranks and was a captain when he went to fight overseas in the Pacific Theater of Operations. It was during the war that Ross made his great reputation as a leader in combat. General Ross made an illegal bargain with the Abomination though, that he would have the Abomination cured and freed if he could capture the Hulk. The Abomination failed this task, but Ross would try this again twice more for some reason. Ross's daughter Betty was later killed by the Abomination, and the Hulk was exiled off of Earth by a group of superheroes. The grief of his daughter's death, along with the lacking of purpose now that there was no Hulk on Earth to fight, led Thaddeus to spiral. 3 of Ross's evil allies used the body and the energy that they had siphoned from the Hulk to turn Ross into the monstrous Red Hulk, a red-skinned beast with similar size and strength to that of the regular Hulk, but with the ability for Ross to consciously transform between his human form and Red Hulk at any time he chooses. Getting close to the end in number 3, Hyperion. Hailing from Earth 13034, the super being that would come to be known as Hyperion came to Earth as a baby, sent as the only survivor of the race of Eternals from a dying world. A human named Father raised him under the name of Marcus Milton, teaching him the morals of society. As an adult, he would become the superhero known as Hyperion and protected the world along with a team of superheroes known as the Squadron Supreme. Basically, this guy is meant to be Marvel's version of Superman. The group of scientists known as AIM from another universe managed to pull him into their reality, and then he would spend most of his time in their captivity, until he was freed by the Avengers, who offered him a place in their ranks. His first mission as an Avenger was to rescue the captured members that were being held by Ex Nihilo, Abyss, and Eleth. After rescuing them, he returned to Earth and then kept working with the Avengers because, he's basically Superman, so he was useful. I just want to see him in the MCU because I want Henry Cavill to play him. That'd be funny. But ultimately, in at number 2, Blue Marvel. Adam Brashear was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. From an early age, it was realized that Adam was a child prodigy. Adam was a former fullback at Cornell University who graduated and then ended up getting 2 PhDs in electrical engineering and theoretical physics. Adam later became the project lead on a scientific attempt to harness antimatter through the creation of a negative reactor, which created a bridge between the negative zone and the positive matter universe itself. Yeah, sounds like a great idea. This reactor would then allow for almost unlimited source of clean energy by allowing devices to tap into the energy created by a stable event horizon balanced between the positive and negative universes. It's very comic sciencey. Due to the unexpected explosion of the reactor though, both Adam and Connor Sims, aka Anti-Man, were subjected to mutagenic radiation generated by the unstable event horizon. When Sims' body disassembled into energy, Brashear became a stable antimatter reactor and developed a set of superhuman abilities. As the Blue Marvel, Adam wore a full-face helmet, but when it was damaged in a battle, Adam's identity was revealed. A massive controversy ensued as the America of 1962 was too racist to accept a black Superman. The president reluctantly decided to ask Adam to step back, and torn between a myriad of considerations, the Blue Marvel conceded. Considering the direction that Falcon and the Winter Soldier went, discussing race and how Isaiah Bradley was treated, I wouldn't be surprised to see Blue Marvel introduced into the MCU. And finally, in at number 1, Sentry. Sentry is an absolute powerhouse, so it's no surprise that I want him in the MCU to fight whatever threat is coming up next, assuming it isn't really Kang, because at this point I feel like that's a red herring. Sentry has even fought and beaten Ares, which is already impressive, but how he did it is even better. Sentry used to be a part of Norman Osborn's Avengers, who went to Asgard in an attempt to lay siege and claim it, because, you know, it's Norman Osborn's Avengers. However, the Marvel version of the Greek god of war didn't like that idea, so after he learned of Osborn's intentions, he came down to kill the Green Goblin. But Ares did not anticipate Sentry's absolute monster arms, even when Sentry picked him up and tore Ares in half. Like, how the absolute living hell has this man torn a Greek god in half? He absolutely obliterated the god of war without even breaking a sweat, and if that doesn't show you the sheer power of Sentry, then I don't know what will, okay? I want to see this in the MCU. There we have it, friends, the top 10 most powerful Avengers we need in the MCU. Who's your favorite Avenger not yet seen on the silver screen, and who do you expect to see on this list? Be sure you let me know down below. Thank you all so much for watching. I have been Connor Monroe, and I'll see you in another video.